Trying to explain it to her. Thank you.
Well, I think you folks have already heard me describe what my experience was. And the situation was back in November, I had a need. I don't remember what it was. I mean, I'm not a big gun person, okay? I don't hang around it much, but I had a cause back in November to go into this gun store. And then I had another cause to go by the same gun store, I guess a couple of weeks ago. And I walked in, it was like they had been robbed. I mean, I walked in just like I'm doing right now. I'm saying, what happened to you guys, man? I mean, all of these massive cupboards of these big display plates, they're all empty. So I walked up and I said, what happened to you? And they said, well, same thing happened in 2008 and 2010. It happens every time the folks start getting scared about the government. I said, refresh my memory. I said, but am I not remembering all of these aisles were all full? He said, yeah, that's correct. And I said, now what was down this aisle? He said, well, that's all of your powder and supplies. I said, so then they're buying all of the powder and supplies to make all of their own bullets. He said, that's right. And then I walked to another aisle. I said, now what was down this aisle? And I'm looking, they're almost totally bare. And he said, well, that was all of the pre-made bullets. And I said, they bought all of these? He said, yep. He said, not only that, he said, but almost every rifle, every pistol we have is almost all sold. And he says, prices are at the top and going up. I said, what's going on? He said, people are scared. Now, let me tie this back to something else. Sometimes the crowd is right. Now, I've been a big proponent that the crowd is almost always wrong, but sometimes the crowd is right. Back 2 years ago, probably, one Sunday morning, Leslie prophesied, and again, she's not real big on prophecy, okay? You know, she just hears from God, and she just repeats what she hears. She doesn't try to get any recognition. She doesn't care whether you listen to her, whether you believe it or not. I mean, when God really speaks to you, you could care less whether people listen to you. You spoke it, you did what you were told to do, and you're done, and that's her attitude. Well, anyway, she spoke that there's going to be a bug come to the water. So the next Monday morning, I called Berkey, and I said, hey, we're only carrying one of the Berkeys. Maybe we need to start carrying more of the different Berkeys you have. Now, these are longtime friends. The fellow that owns it used to be a table worker for us here at the Dallas Prophecy Club meetings. So, we go back a long way. And he said, well, she says, well, if you're going to order any, you better get to order them because you'll probably be 6 to 8 weeks before you can get them if you order them today. I said, what happened? She said, well, that's just it. We don't really know. It's just that about 2 years ago, and this was about 2 years ago when I spoke to her, so that would be about 4 years ago, for no particular reason, just everything started ramping up. I said, so these orders coming in, they're not from any one particular group of people or any one particular sect of people or a nation or any particular state or there's no particular reason. She says, no. She says, that's just the funny part of it is it's just from a groundswell. It's just from all over. Well, see, that's kind of what's going on with the weapons right now. People are scared. They think that we're in the last days. And, of course, there's even been some, I saw them on TV the other day, what do they call them, doomsday preppers, these different shows they're doing about these people that are getting ready to go underground. And I have to say that straight out of the book of Revelation, Revelation 6:12, says they'll run into the holes of the rocks. They'll cry to the rocks and say, fall on us and hide us from the face of him that sat upon the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb. And then you go to Isaiah 2, verses 19 to 20, and it says the same thing, that people are going to run underground. So when people are thinking about running underground, that would be correct. That's scriptural. However, I personally don't plan to live out the trouble ahead in America. I really think that there's going to be a time that God is going to speak to us and tell us to leave, if he has not already. I already put this on the radio a lot of times. I'll tell you one more time. I guess it was, 3-4 years ago, I heard an audible voice of God. Now, here was the situation. I had a dream. I was looking down upon this plane. I was high up, and there was a line of people getting onto this jet. And this voice spoke to me. I heard audible words. And again, I'm not a prophet, okay? I'm just another vine dresser. Nothing special about me, okay? But I heard these words, and it said, 2 men will get on a plane with a virus. Before the planes can land, everyone on board will be dead. This will be the beginning of the end of public air transportation. And I said, what? And the voice answered me and said, you weren't listening. And it repeated it all over again. 2 men will get on a plane with a virus. And before the plane can land, everyone on board will be dead. This will be the beginning of the end of public air transportation. And I've prayed about that a lot of times. The only answer I can come up with is apparently that's telling us when we need to be leaving America. Now, I can tell you right now, I think the real solution, yes, you do need to have what preparations you can afford, but the real solution is I believe God is going to tell us, just like he told Joseph and Mary to leave Israel to go to Egypt for their protection, there's going to be a time that God is going to tell people to get out of Babylon. There's going to be a time when he will say, you go read Jeremiah 51 verse 9, we would have healed Babylon, but she would not be healed. Forsake her and let every man go into his own country. The judgment is here. Judgment is here. I say judgment is here. And it may not be, probably won't be too long before something really, 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 really bad hits. And it's probably going to be that financial global reset.
In a new article that we'll probably talk about next week, there's a new poll out that says 38% of Americans believe a revolution might be necessary to support additional gun control measures, meaning that there's 38% of Americans right out there that believe, in order to set things right, on a recent poll by a university, that believe that revolution is possible within the next couple of years. 38%.
And what did Dmitri Duduman say? The fall of America would start with an internal revolution started by the communists. Some of the people would start fighting against the government. The government will be busy with internal problems. Then from the oceans, Russia, Cuba, Nicaragua, Central America, Mexico, and 2 other countries will attack and defeat America. In one day, in 1 hour, such great riches will come to naught. Then God will raise up China and Japan and many other nations. They'll go against the Russians. They'll defeat the Russians. They'll back the Russians to the gates of Paris where they sign a peace treaty, but they make the Russians their leader. Then, under the leadership of the Russians, all the world goes down to attack Israel. It's not that they want to. God makes them. I believe that's the hook in the jaw, Ezekiel 38, verse 4. Then, with all the world led by the Russians, they all go down to attack Israel. Israel can't count on the help of the Jews in America, so she cries for Messiah. Messiah returns in the clouds and defeats the armies of the earth. And that's probably going to happen in your lifetime, that's why you need to build that prayer closet now. Come out of sin, come out of the world, come out of Babylon, and repent. Turn to Jesus with your whole heart so he can save you in the day of trouble. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your prayers.